Good morning, noon or night everyone, welcome back to The Fog. Let's get straight into what's on the menu for today, the Subnautica Chapter Concept for Dead by Daylight. With the recent release of Subnautica 2 Early Access, I decided now would be the best time to release this chapter concept. Let's just get straight onto it. The original Subnautica was an underwater survival exploration game made by Unknown Worlds Entertainment, released in 2018. It follows Riley Robinson, a non-essential systems manager on the Aurora, a spaceship travelling to planet 4546b for colonisation overseen by the megacorporation Alterra. But due to an unforeseen accident, the ship would crash onto the ocean planet's surface, with Riley the only survivor. He survives, explores, and learns more about the history of the planet. Ancient aliens known as architects came to the planet many centuries ago, building structures like the research lab and geothermal plant. However, they rapidly became infected by the Kara bacterium, killing off the race rapidly, with them quarantining the planet using an enormous energy gun called the Quarantine Enforcement Platform. Riley picks up on their research, realising the Aurora was shot down by the Quarantine Enforcement Platform. He also discovers that the Aurora was actually not sent to colonise 4546b, but instead to investigate the Degasi, a Mongolian spaceship that crashed on 4546b to find out what happened to the inhabitants. Out of the 3 crew on the Degasi, only one would have survived, but we won't hear about her until the next game. Riley would go on to discover the Sea Emperor Leviathan in an old architect base, an intelligent creature that produces enzymes when young that can cure Kara, helping to create reproductive enzymes that help her younglings hatch and cure the Kara. Now cured from the infection himself, he disables the enforcement platform and builds a ship to leave the planet, only to be hit with immediate corporate fees since everything he used on the planet is Alterra company property, and now he owes them 3 trillion credits in repayments. The game was continuously developed and worked on by Unknown Worlds and was received immensely positively, selling over 5 million copies by 2020. So, with the success of the original, the developers began working on a DLC centered around a different part of the planet, but after continued developments, they instead decided to develop it into a new spin-off game called Subnautica Below Zero, which was released in 2021. Below Zero takes place 2 years after the original Subnautica, and instead follows Robin Ayu, a xenologist attempting to find out the cause of her sister Sam's death, which Alterra labelled as negligence. Alterra, by the time of Below Zero, was rapidly studying 4546b, specifically the Kara and the Architects, but they'd all suddenly retreated from an area known as Sector Zero in the Arctic regions of 4546b, allowing Robin to sneak onto the planet during a meteor storm. While there, she follows a distress signal to an ancient architect base, where she discovers the digital consciousness of an architect inside the facility. She attempts to download it to her PDA, but instead downloads the architect into her brain. She's angry initially, but grows used to the architect, known as Al-An, and agrees to help him build a new body to inhabit. As Robin continues to search for information about Sam, she encounters Marguerite, the last survivor of the Degasi. She had been working with Sam to sabotage Alterra's plans in the area, as they had discovered a Leviathan frozen in ice still infected with the Kara, now almost extinct on 4546b thanks to the help of Riley. However, instead of curing it, Alterra had plans to turn Kara into a bioweapon, and so Sam teamed up with Marguerite to take down Alterra's operations, developing a cure and attempting to seal the cave where the frozen Leviathan had been discovered with explosives. Alterra, unable to figure out the source of the cave-in, labelled her death as negligence. Robin works with Marguerite to finish what Sam had started, curing the frozen Leviathan before continuing to help Al-An, who she finally builds a body for. Al-An then reveals he was the head researcher at the station in the original game, which was destroyed while studying the Kara. Al-An decides to return to the Architect homeworld to find out what happened to the rest of his species, and Robin follows him through the phase gate, and that's where Below Zero ends. Now, I've fully played through the original Subnautica, and I'm getting there with Below Zero, but I haven't managed to get my hands on Subnautica 2 yet, which is expected considering it's in early access. But if it's anything like the first 2, I will absolutely be buying. Now, how do we adapt Subnautica into Dead by Daylight? Well, to the disappointment of some, this will be a Survivor-exclusive chapter. As scary as Leviathans like the Reaper and Shadow Leviathan are, at the end of the day, they're more or less just animals. The distinction is why I chose to add Ellie from Iron Lung. She's clearly shown intelligence and is a conscious being, whereas it's unlikely the Leviathans have any higher thinking beyond instincts. So, unless you want to play as, I don't know, the Kara bacteria or a corporate dystopia, there's not really much in the way of killers. So instead, we'll have to settle for our two protagonists, Riley Robinson and Robin Ayu, and here's how I imagined them in Dead by Daylight. Riley Robinson, a non-essential systems manager who against all odds survived alone on an incredibly hostile world, discovered alien technology, and cured a planetary pandemic taken by the fog just as his rocket leaves the atmosphere of 4546b. Riley Robinson comes with 3 unique perks. Quarantine Breaker. This perk can only be activated while you are not exhausted. Quarantine Breaker allows you to vault over blocked windows in exchange for becoming exhausted. The exhausted status lasts for 200, 150, 100 seconds. Systems Management. Systems Management activates when another survivor is working on a generator. As long as another survivor is aiding generator progress, you gain an increased 10, 15, and 20% speed for opening chests, cleansing totems, sabotaging hooks, and booning totems. Ecological Succession. This perk increases your chance of becoming the Obsession. Ecological Succession gives the Obsession the ability to read the auras of generators, hex totems, survivors, and the killer for 6, 10, and 14 seconds, with the range of the aura increasing with each survivor in the trial who has died, up to a maximum of 32 meters. This perk can only be activated after one survivor is killed. As for survivor number 2, Robin Ayu. A xenologist in search of the truth behind her sister's death, she would go on to foil the foul plans of Altera and finish her sister's goal, only to disappear just before she can give her alien companion a new body to inhabit, the both of them absorbed into the fog. Robin Ayu comes with 3 unique perks. Digital Architect. Digital Architect can only be activated while working on a generator. Once the ability is activated, a green hologram will be placed over the generator, automatically progressing the generator at a rate of 0.8 charges over 30 seconds, 24 charges total. In exchange, you will gain the blindness status for 60, 50, and 40 seconds. Digital Architect has a cooldown of 120 seconds. Killers are able to disable the Architect by kicking the generator. Take the Dive. This perk can only be activated when injured. Activating this perk requires you to perform a fast interaction with an object. This perk causes you to become oblivious, but also to gain endurance for 5, 7, and 10 seconds. This perk then causes exhaustion for 100 seconds. Take the Dive cannot be activated while exhausted. Sisterhood. This perk decreases your chance to become the Obsession. When you and the Obsession are working together on a generator, the killer is unable to receive loud noise notifications in a 5, 10, 15 meter radius around your generator, including failed skill checks and fast vaults. And that's it, the Subnautica Chapter Concept for Dead by Daylight, with 2 brand new survivors and 6 unique perks. Now I know we've been pretty survivor heavy on the channel recently, but the next video will be a blessing for you killer mains. The apotheosis will soon be among us. If you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe with notifications on, and be sure to suggest any licenses you'd like to see me do next in the comments below. Till then, thanks for visiting, and I'll see you all in the fog.